Today on Drawbli,
Ben is concepting.
click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And comment below with ideas of how we can improve as artists.
Share some of your art online with the hashtag Drawbli. And let's talk about some concepting. So
Yes.
in our last video, you showed off some of your concepting, doing some traditional media. Of course, I'm a digital boy myself. I like to stay in the digital space.
Yes.
So as you can see here, I have a bunch of different reference images and I have some words on screen that might be backwards depending on when you look at it, because I flip my canvas quite often.
Like a good boy.
Like a good digital boy. But I am horrible at reading upside down and backwards, but we have psychotic, isolated, all these words that are, I think, I literally cannot read them. Out of control, unfocused, like my ability to read backwards. So essentially what I did was play with all these words. You know, we had this big wheel of emotions with like sub-emotions. What are the 4 core emotions? It's like mad, glad, sad, and afraid.
And a Fred. Yeah, so this was in our course we're taking by Ahmed Al-Douri, and the final lessons are on concepting. So that's what we're studying here.
We're starting with emotion was the idea with this this lecture. So I started with like mad, sad, and then started leaning into like grief and like all these different ideas. So I just wrote down a bunch of words that kind of felt right, and then I grabbed a bunch of reference images, as you can see, and I used them for loose inspiration to start doing these sketches. And then what you'll see here very soon after these sketches is that I pull all of these sketches together and use those then, these 4 sketches, as a reference to create another concept that would be like my core concept idea.
Ooh, well, I like that. And I did see where this goes, so I'm very impressed with your whole process.
Oh no, the end thing is... So here's what I'll say about this in general. I lost the plot a little.
Okay.
And I think that that is kind of inevitable when you are kind of in these early stages of trying to learn how to concept stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You are most likely not going to come out with the perfect representation of what you wanted to create from the very get-go. It's just, it's kind of like starting to draw for the first time and expecting your drawing to come out like as a masterpiece. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I lost the plot a little, but I did have a lot of fun. I did learn a lot, and I did get to create something that was like heading in the general direction of where I wanted to go. And I did actually really enjoy this sketch that's on screen right now.
Cool. Yeah, no, it looks like it was a lot of fun to do. I would love to revisit this. Oh, I like how you're blocking out the brow there.
Yeah, I tried to redraw this character again from a 3/4 view. And I'd also really like to mention this new technique that I'm starting to develop for the beginning of my process and just for sketching and drawing in general. So what I do is I draw my sketch, as you have seen. I fade out the opacity to that to maybe like halfway. I create a new layer. I sketch on that, continuing to sketch. I merge them, fade it back down, make a new layer and keep drawing on top and just rinse and repeat and repeat and repeat as it gets closer and closer to what I'm looking for. So I continue to like move, like my favorite thing about it is that I'm moving away from the blank canvas idea. So for those unfamiliar, like when you start with a blank canvas and you have absolutely nothing on it to use as a guideline, it's really intimidating. It's really hard in general to like just create. It's something that I really struggle with because I have trouble like taking what's in my head and putting it on the page. So by having a little bit of something there to help lean me in any direction or give me any guidance is extremely helpful.
Absolutely. When you say it out loud like that, wow, does it make so much sense. But I feel like it's one of those things that like sounds so clear in hindsight, but until, you know, you've lived and experienced learning to draw like this, it's not until you've gone through a million different ways of not doing that that you've realized how, like, you can realize how valuable that technique is.
Yeah, so those were all of my sketches, and now here is my desired, or my attempt to go into creating the actual piece.
Ooh.
So I started with underlighting the piece, and it wasn't going in a direction that I enjoyed, so I just scrape it.
Oh,
Or
okay.
scrap it.
I was
should
gonna say I love those colors with your background color.
Yeah, I intentionally just chose the opposite color.
Oh,
Go
wow.
get that.
You're such like an intuitive natural with like color theory.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not that hard. You just, like, if you're on purple, you grab some yellow. If you're on blue, you grab some, like, orangish red.
As a perpetual pen and ink black and white person, I'm glad to always be seeing these things to remind me that, like, hey, it's a little simpler than I give it credit for. I don't need to be as intimidated as I am.
So I wanted to go for more of, like, this crazed eye look, this wide-eyed idea here. So I was like, oh, these eyes are too seductive. I got to make them more, like, bugged out or, more scared. Like I said, I kind of lost the plot a little bit, and I just had to kind of go with the flow. But this is essentially it. It's me just, like, refining the colors more and more from here. It doesn't really change or improve that much from this point.
Okay. Well, it's always fun, though, to watch that process, and it's incredible that you're able to do this. Essentially, I mean, you're using reference, but still a lot of this refining process, is it based on just whatever comes out of your head, or?
Oh, I'm not even looking at that image in the top right anymore at this point. I haven't looked at it since I created the original sketch.
Wow.
I was using that initially for that up light, that like reverse, like upside down light source.
Yeah.
And I wasn't liking that, so I just scrapped that and then, kept working on this.
Cool. I love how you're sharpening the designs on her and then blurring out the sketched ones, or blending those out so that we get these really sharp designs like on her forehead. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think at this point I really didn't know how to progress this piece any further, so I was just like, I don't know, I'll just maybe keep adding some like lights and shadows onto some different areas. Hope that helps to add some depth, play with that a little more. It's still, with the technique that I was using for sketching, I think it kind of comes out a little too like sketchy in style. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the flatness in this image, but I do like the general aesthetic.
Yes, I also like the aesthetic. I think that looks really, really cool. Ben, what is the worst job?
You can't just pull that out without even mentioning.
Well, okay, I have a question for you. What is the worst job in the entire world?
You do not just have a question for me. We were gifted a box of cards that says they're called Questions for Humans, and my sister gave it to us as a fun little thing. And they have a bunch of questions on them, and we thought it would be fun to do one for Drawbli.
Ben, you're running out of time. What is the worst job in the entire world?
The worst job in the world? Oh my god, it's such an easy question. Being a bug.
Being a bug, that is the worst job. Yes, the bugs.
Could you imagine?
I could not tie a tie if I was that small.
You couldn't do the dishes. You couldn't make art if you were a bug.
I could make art if I was a bug.
What's the worst job in the world, Abby?
It's probably whatever job you feel stuck in and can't leave. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
It varies person to person.
Wow, that's deep. That's real deep.
I'm
Okay, here, I want to do one too.
Okay,
I want to do one too. What's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen? I'll go first.
Okay.
A bug.
Oh my gosh, a bug. I did see an orchid mantis at a reptile expo once.
And Abby is obsessed with mantises?
Obviously, I'm not obsessed enough to know the plural form of praying mantises, or the true Latin plural form. But I do think they're an admirable species, and
Admiral.
I think they are beautiful.
Not captains, but admirals.
Maybe not an admiral's above a captain, even better. Maybe not the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. I mean, your face, Ben, is so... Well, you still have a mustache, and I like that. I think that's beautiful. Your mustache that you've been growing the past month is the most beautiful thing in the world.
I sense some sarcasm in this statement.
There's no sarcasm. I've told you again and again. I think your mustache is charming and cute, and you look like a 1930s man.
Well,
you look like you're going to tell me that Martha, the papers are due today.
And the mustache is going away very soon.
I know, but I've liked doing this voice every time I see you while it's been here, Martha. That's you calling me Martha, not me calling you Martha.
Right, of course. You're speaking for me because I lack the mental capacity to speak for myself.
You could also speak in this voice. You just choose not to. And if you would, I wouldn't have to.
I can't do that voice. You know I can't do that voice.
You can try.
Do you know what that voice is called?
No.
It's called a mid-Atlantic accent, which is a fake voice, fake accent that never existed. It only existed for like radio announcers and stuff to bridge the gap between Europe and America.
Well, if you want to never have existed, hit that subscribe button.
And share your art online with the hashtag Drawbli and comment below with some ideas of how we can improve at art.
Ben, your art that never existed before is amazing.
That is very kind of you. And this is the part where we say
Goodbye.
Goomba. Did we? I lost the plot on this piece, and I feel like this episode might have lost the plot a little bit.
Tomorrow in the plot, Ben finds it again.
Thank God. Finally.